Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at Runecraft. This is a combination of Mysteria and the new Rune card, which is pretty crazy and fun. You would have seen it in my previous Rune video if you have watched that. If not, it basically gives you two amazing choice cards. In particular, the 7 damage one, Prophecy of Doom, is absolutely a monster if you want to read that here, of course. And the other one isn't too bad either. So this deck doesn't rely on that as the primary source of a win condition, but it is a great win condition for this deck to have, and is very easily executable. Otherwise, we're mostly using Mysteria cards, which is absolutely crazy fun. Obviously, I haven't had much success winning overall with this deck, but for the most part, at least it's been an enjoyable ride, so I've been having a lot of fun messing around with this, and it seems to do a good job. It is based on a deck ISM players posted, and it does keep things fresh and interesting, so why not get into it and take a look. First up is against Portal. Portal's becoming more and more common on ladder at the moment. I think that's because more people are getting into it and testing it out. Of course, I do want to refine my Portal decks down a bit, so versing Portal always helps me get an idea on what to aim for. This deck though, being a rune deck, has been lots of fun. There is another rune deck that's very similar, that's basically all spells and more focused towards the old kind of D-shift playstyle, which is one I want to check out very soon, so hopefully I can get a deck up for you guys in the next week or so with that one. Otherwise, we are missing out on Forest and Haven decks, Forest and Dragon decks, because I lack the legendaries and cards to fully make those in the way I want, but hopefully I'll have something simple out for you soon. Overall though, this deck does pretty well. I mean, comboing these Mysteria cards together work really well for getting in early damage, especially when you can get them out early. So Substitution's kind of a sucky one, but we should be able to at least take advantage of this Mysteria here. Go for some damage to the face, get some draw in. Really looking for anything I can get a hold of at the moment while expanding our board.
Let's get him, Nick.
Unfortunately, while I do enjoy Nick as a Mysteria card, it's definitely a difficult one for me to play out all the time. It gives me this feeling that I'm really forcing the Mysteria card sometimes, and I don't like that, but I think with a little bit more play, I could definitely make that a lot better.
The place where to go, even I don't know.
There's still next time, right?
So Portal goes in with Hamlins. I think they're really pushing a puppet type here, of course. We have seen a couple of puppets already, which makes it pretty obvious. Overall, this deck does pretty well against anything that has a 1 to 2 health range as their primary, mainly because Wind of Starves and stuff like that really can clean stuff up quite easily, especially Nova Flare. Once you get the Mysterias out though, you can really start to snowball your game. So we do get Rune, of course on 4 it's much better, but if you can get it about now in the game, it's not too bad either. So we do see more puppets. We know they're stocking up on puppets, but we've also been keeping a nice little stock ourselves, so the only thing I worry about is trying to use Mysteria and Wormmist. Wormmist always feels a little awkward, at least in my opinion. It's a great card, just an awkward one to abuse. But again, that probably comes with more play. The more play you play with this deck, the better you'll get at operating it. So we go for that first hit, getting those spell boosts. And they do discard a few cards, which is nice. It's always nice to see them burning cards. But their trades are way better than what I've got, so it's a little disappointing. I do wish this Mysteria card was better. He's okay if you get to trade with him, but outside of that he's just a Mysteria proc, which is a little disappointing.
No homework.
So now we get a few good cards. I mean, we can play President Hannah and Freshman Lou, which allows us to take advantage of Hannah itself. And with a quick Evo, we can also remove this puppet, although I really didn't need to do that. Looking back on it, I should have just evolved at end of the turn. Would have been a much better play, honestly, because the puppet would have killed itself. But I'm still not used to playing against puppets all the time, and even playing as them, sometimes I'll forget that puppets themselves will destroy in the next turn, so an easy oversight, honestly. Just something to keep in mind when playing against puppets. Puppets do kill themselves if you leave them, so definitely a good thing to remember. So I'll play the Mysterian right because I think it's a great card to combo off here, and it gives us another one, so why not? Especially since we can start using them to cycle more. But Orcus Vengeful Puppet is going to be a nightmare to deal with. course not impossible, because Nova is amazing for it. Just a little bit of a pain.
Take this to spare.
So they can pretty easily trade, go face, do what they need to.
I'll cut through everything.
So they do decide to take the trade off.
Next time we'll be
But a Nova Flare and Mysterian Riot, or some kind of combination of cards, will be more than enough to just absolutely decimate this. Do decide to go with the Wind Blast play, holding on to my Nova just in case. I mean, I think that was better. It gave us more spell boosting, which allows Prophecy to become more and more active. This deck in particular, I haven't had much luck getting Prophecy to go off itself, but it's nice to have there as a plan. So we do get the easy kill on these, which is what you want. And the Divine Retribution draw is perfect. The amount of burn damage this deck can do is amazing, and if you do get the Mysterias, unfortunately we haven't, you can do some even more crazy damage. This Saphira though, it deals 0 damage because there has been no artifacts.
I accept.
Clearly my opponent didn't realise this to start with and just ended up conceding immediately. Next up we have Haven. Haven's been an interesting deck. I mean, there's a few that I really want to mess around with. I mean, numbers are really important. It's hard to get them to go off the way I want in Haven, but definitely a fun deck. This deck though, with Mysteria Founder, when you do get it into your hand like this, is great. Especially with Rooney as an immediate early play. You can go straight into the Rooney, into the Mysteria, and then play off those really nicely. And of course, Rooney on curve with an Evolve is even better, so going second with it is amazingly good. Gemstone Carapace gets its early drop though, and we don't actually have any good 2-drop. I don't like playing Mysterian unless I have to at this point. And there's really no point. So Happy Pig gets its play. Not really doing anything. I can play the Mysterian Summoner. I mean, it's not really that big of a waste in general because I just want something on board to at least counter the Happy Pig. So an immediate 2-2 is fine. And Rooney with an Evolve and Trade is actually reasonable, especially since we drew Nova Flare.
I see to the ends of the world.
So we get our Prophecy of Doom,
You're done for.
which gives us the chance to go to the body with this, to really put that thing into a good range of these cards, especially if we do get to follow up with an immediate Mysteria. I mean, that's going to set up any future AoE to be super effective. So Tin Soldier gets its own play. Not too surprising when you can abuse Tin Soldiers and Carapaces, I don't know. Anyway, Gemstones. But now I really need to push this Founder out, because if I don't push it now, I'm probably not going to get a chance to play it. Taking a little bit of damage should be reasonably fine, and if they have to use another Evo to get extra damage, it's kind of what I want. And we're going to lose this 6-1 anyway, so if I was going to go out, we're going to go out in style.
It was you, after all.
Globe of Stairways, though, presenting itself interestingly
Crystals of snow shimmer in the night.
in this matchup so far.
No! Unbelievable!
So now we just need a way to deal with this as effectively as I can. I do decide to go with the Mysterian and Blackworm. No real good reason to, considering we only have one Mysterian spell, but I felt like its body with the Evolve, and the fact that I could use the spell next turn to really deal some damage was going to be really, really solid. And a 6-4 is a really hard thing to remove in that health bracket. Even on turn 7, it's going to cost at least another trade. So for them to send their followers into it and die, that's normally considered trading in most cases. And that's a good way to do it, 2 for 1. Totally worthwhile. And then we can just use the missile to pick this off and get some good face damage in.
Stop! President Hannah, present!
Of course, I should have played the... Actually, I don't think you need to play the Hannah first. As long as you've played another Mysteria card before it, it's fine. So the ordering of Hannah didn't actually matter, luckily. I still got the right, which is amazing. And they just board locked themselves, which have gave me free reign to play whatever I want in the next couple of turns. Which, since we already have one Mysteria card, a second one is really going to make that good.
No!
And Freshman Loom, Gets us another card that we can spell boost at least.
On my honor as class president.
And unfortunately I did burn the right. I probably could have went with something else instead of blue. Actually I probably couldn't have due to the fact that everything's too high cost. But burning the right is fine when we already have a right and a missile. Makes it pretty much impossible to clear everything here. So I believe the missile is 4 damage and the right will be... I think the right's just another 3 or 2, I'm not sure. And we unfortunately burned it, which wasn't great. But we did get a couple damage to their face, which worked out in our favour. And we do get to clear most of this with whatever we want, so... Nova Flare. Unfortunately does also kill my 3-3. If I had thought of that sooner, maybe I would have considered doing that in a slightly different order. But it did work out anyway, so why not? Of course, March Hare's Tea Time though does present us with a problem. 2 of those is going to be an absolute nightmare to have to deal with. But coming up with solutions is something I do every day. See, Wind Blast with 5 damage, a nice Consecration play. Luckily we get the Missile and the Mysteria Knowledge, which does allow us to at least drop the absolute 0 on this, and set up for next turn's Chain Lightning. So it all ended up working out, which is really nice. So opposing statues is the play to go with, going for that storm damage on me as quickly as they can. And I just Chain Lightning, even though Prophecy of Doom would have honestly been just as good if I had played that with a couple of spells to trade. But that was an immediate effect instead of having to wait till the end of their turn. So that's the Mysteria Rooney deck. It's definitely an interesting one and it kept me on my toes when playing it. I love the AoE effects. I think maybe with a few slight adjustments to stuff, I could definitely make this deck a little better in the way of going for burn damage. But other than that, I really enjoy it on a whole. It's definitely a lot of fun and I recommend checking it out if you already have the cards for it. I mean, we're only really adding the 3 Rooney and the 2 Mysteria in my deck. Obviously 3 Mysteria might be better and you could probably drop something else off if you wanted to do that. But if you did enjoy the video, hit that like button and subscribe for more content. You can find the deck list in the description below, along with every other important link to my channel and myself, so be sure to check those out if you're interested, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.